Alright everybody, so today another short video about Raid Shadow Legends, but before we're going into the video where I want to explain for people what exactly the game is actually about, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding still. Before we do that, I want to point out the most important things for the video, and this is if at any point you were actually interested in playing the game but were thrown off for whatever reason, this is probably the best time to try it out, and that's for three main reasons. So first of all, if you install the game through the code that you can find in the description of the video, you get a free legendary champion and some free epic champions that are incredibly strong to help you start your account. Additionally, there's currently, thanks to a coordinated campaign with Paramount, the whole turtle shredder thing, where we have a free champion that you get if you log in 7 times until I think it's November 11th or something along those lines. So you get another legendary champion. And I can tell you that both Alice, which you can get, and also Michelangelo are insane. Now, I have multiple accounts in Raid Shadow Legends, late game accounts, and none of them ever had anything like this. So if you want to start, this is going to boost you super fast, that you can start to really quickly get into the mid game with those champions. So I can heavily recommend that. Another reason why this might be a good time is also that I created a whole different YouTube series where I go a bit about the beginnings of the game, what to do, what not to do, what are typical pitfalls that new players fall into, and things that best practices, things that you should do in order to progress quickly. I will link that also in the video description. So with that out of the way, best time, check it out, have a look. But I want to show you a bit what the game is actually about, because there's still quite a bit of confusion around it. So I want to give you a bit of an overview of what this game is and what you can do here. So Raid, as with any other of these games, is centered around champions that you can get, and this is where we're immediately starting to dive a little bit deep into what you can do just from a strategic point. For me, what threw me off at first is when I started to play the campaign, and I realized that you can just auto-play through a stage. And this was a bit weird to me, because I thought, hey, why are you playing a game that plays itself? And campaign, honestly, is just a little bit of a starter area. It helps you to get a feel for what's going on. It helps you learn about affinities. So there's basically like each champion is assigned to an affinity that is strong against another and weak against another. But it's just really the beginner's area. And then later on, when you head into the dungeons, which I'm going to show you in a second, this is where things are starting to become interesting. So you have hundreds of champions that you basically collect. Some of them useless, some of them absolutely incredible. Michelangelo, by the way, this one is one of the free champions that you can get, and so is Alice. So these are the two why I say that right now is a fantastic time to actually start playing this game a bit, because they're absolutely incredible and super strong. But as I said before, so you have champions. The champions have different abilities, they have auras, and they have a normal A1, like an attack. You can boost all of these abilities by using books, which will increase damage, which will decrease cooldown. And outside of just doing damage, what a lot of these things do is that they apply a debuff to the opponent, or they apply a buff to your own team. So at that point, you already have to strategically think a little bit about how you make a team composition work. Because if you're trying to go into a certain dungeon, you want to have a debuffer on your team that debuffs the opponent. You want to have somebody that buffs your own team, maybe somebody that speeds it up a little bit, and then you also want to have your real hard-hitting damage dealers. So just on the abilities alone, this is already getting quite strategical and interesting, where you can play around it. On top of that, you have then also items. And items come with just general buffs on your stats, so you can buff your attack, your HP, your defense. You have crit rate and crit damage that you can improve, pretty much as you are used to from any RPG out there. So you can really start to get your champion stronger and stronger. And all of these items that you can find exist also in different qualities, and they exist also through different sets. And as we're talking about sets, you can see, for example, here that a speed set, if I have 2 of a speed set equipped, it gives me plus 12% speed. I have an accuracy set, which boosts my accuracy. There's lifesteal sets, there's stun sets, frost sets, regeneration. And there's also, for example, a relentless set where you can get an extra turn. So there's a certain RNG element in this too. And there's a huge amount of sets that you can get either by beating dungeon levels, or you have also a forge where you can craft more elaborate sets that give you maybe a combo. So for example, you get accuracy plus a speed advantage. So when you layer these things on top of each other, that automatically means that you can essentially equip every single champion with different sets and change their role in the team. On top of that, then you have also masteries. And a mastery tree is essentially, you have to farm scrolls for this, but then you can give them certain masteries. Like, for example, this one gives me 5% crit rates. I can then go down, increase the crit damage a little bit as well. Over here on the support side, we're talking about an increase in accuracy. And the farther down you go, the more powerful those become. So for example, down here we are doing bonus damage, and this is typically something that you get in order to be more effective against bosses in particular. But just through variations in how you use masteries for a champion, what sets you use for a champion, and then also how you book the abilities, you can actually do a lot. There are certain speed champions, for example, that not only attack one single hero on the other side or one single opponent, but they attack multiple. So if you equip, let's say, a stun set on a champion like this and you make them really fast, then they're basically just a CC machine that is trying to control the opponent's wave with just one stun after another. So there are certain little tricks and things that you can do, and it's really fun to dive into this. And with every single champion that you get, you oftentimes get a lot more options. So knowledge is really very important, which is why I talked earlier about the YouTube series that I created on a different account, just so you can go a little bit deeper. For example, Frozen Banshee is not a legendary, she's not an epic champion, she's actually just a rare, which you can easily get. But she has some pretty interesting abilities and becomes very powerful for certain areas, and is therefore a bit of a specialty type. So if you want to go through a certain dungeon, or let's say in this case the clan boss, she can be one of your most powerful assets early on in the game. Also because the abilities that she has, if you want to fully book them, so you want to unlock all of these extra chances to apply debuff or damage, the books that you need for that are only rare books. So I haven't really talked too much about books, I alluded to them earlier, but if you want to upgrade skills, you have books in rarities of a rare skill tome, you have epic, and you have also legendary. Also mythical, but that's a little bit too deep into the late game. But this gives you a bit of an idea of how actually the champions work and how you can really combine them. So I kind of want to show you just a little bit how we go through some of the dungeons here. And I'm gonna choose very easy levels simply because runs can be quite long, but everything that you see here is specific dungeons. So we have, for example, our potion dungeons, which is everything you see here over on the left. Potion dungeons, you can ascend champions, then they are able to equip accessories. So it's all about items, accessories here. We have our Minotaur's Labyrinth, which is all about getting scrolls, which you need for these masteries that I just pointed out. And then when we have our Spider's Den, Ice Golem's Peak, Dragon's Lair, and the Fire Knight Castle, this is really where you can get a lot of items. And all of these are a little bit different. So on the left you can see which artifacts drop in this particular dungeon, so we can get a crit damage set or something along those lines. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go into stage 10. It's an easier stage, but again, I just want to break through it quickly to show you some specifics around the bosses there. So when you start this up, most of these dungeons are operating in 3 stages, not all of them. And the first 2 are just normal waves. So I have my set here, and again, this is like, this auto runs. There's a priority that you can attach to your abilities as well, so you can actually design a team composition and just say, on this stage, prioritize this ability, prioritize that, so that you can just sync this up. You can, of course, also play this manually, but the idea is that a lot of this, at least the early stuff, is done pretty much automatically. And then once you're getting to the actual boss, this is where it becomes interesting. You see at the top the abilities that the boss has, and you also see that shield. So right now there's 10 hits on that shield, and I need now champions that have multiple hits on their attacks to reduce the number on that shield. And once that number is down to 0, then the shield is removed, because now I do very, very little damage. But if I can remove that shield by just attacking with a lot of hits first, then I get to a point where I can actually do damage to him. And obviously that shield will come up later on. So something like what we have here with an ally attack helps a lot, because I'm just getting more of my champions to attack, and therefore the shield will break pretty quickly. And this is unique for the Fire Knight. So in this case, as I already said before, we're gonna speed through this a little bit. We have like a stun that I can apply here to bosses. It doesn't really do anything. And now we're just breaking through that. Again, it's like an easy stage right now, but these fights can last for a long time. And then you get a couple of items through that. So this is just the Fire Knight. Let's go for something that's completely different. Let's go into the Spider's Den and also go for one of the lower stages here. And you will immediately see that there's actually a huge difference on how this plays out. Because when we're going to the Spider's Den, we don't have these stages at first. We don't have these waves where you just go up against normal opponents. We go immediately up against the boss who has a lot of spiders there as well. And what basically the spider does is it doesn't only attack you, but also heals dependent on the amount of small spiders that are around. So you really want to deal with AoE abilities, burn those down. And that requires essentially a completely different approach if you want to do it on higher levels. Now, if you just, as me, now go into a lower level and that you already surpassed a long time ago, you can basically brute your way through it. But the idea is that with every single dungeon that you play, you need to really think about what can I do with my lineup and what is special about that dungeon, about that boss. For one, I might need some champions that have on their normal attack multiple hits that attack 3 times that can break through a shield. On this one, I need more area of effect abilities where I attack all my opponents. And of course, that then combos off with debuffing, buffing your own team. So this is what the game is really about. It's more a little bit like a puzzle game where you're trying to just unlock new content and break through it. And once that you're able to do all of this with dungeons, there's multiple more areas in the game where you have a Doom Tower, where you battle yourself one stage after another all the way up to the top. You have to defeat bosses on the way too. It's like a bit of a principle that you've probably seen in a lot of animes as well. And this works also exceptionally well. So the entire time you're really thinking about playing with affinities, playing around this, playing with the lineups that you have, and then getting more champions in and trying to just broaden it a bit so that you have more options. And another thing that becomes quite important is also the sets that I spoke about earlier. So you might go into some of these dungeons and realize, hey, I need a specific set equipped on one of my damage dealers in order to break through this. So it's a little bit of an idea of what to do. This was like 2 of them. I can give you another quick peek, I'd say. We can go into the Ice Golem's peak just so that you see another variation of all of this. So in this case, we're going traditionally again through 2 waves and just break through them pretty quickly. Once again, this is a lower stage. This is why we can go through with it with like a standard comp of champions that I have here. And then once that we go to the actual boss, this is where it also becomes interesting again. Because essentially what happens here is that this boss has 2 guys that assist him, and when they get revived when certain thresholds in the hit points are getting reached on the boss, and he revives with that hit. Now, if we get to that first and I just keep attacking him, then he will unleash that hit too, but will do way more damage because those 2 guys are alive. So here you can operate with abilities that block a revive death, for example. You have certain champions that do that. I don't have any of them just here, but if I wanted to go into a higher level, I would have to try and block these 2 from being revived, or that guy does way too much damage at some point and might just wipe out my entire team. So it's a pretty cool design in the way that they've gone through those bosses. And as I said, it's not only about the dungeons. They added way more content over the last couple of months and years, where you can now also go, let's say, here into the Doom Tower, the Cursed City, where you have to battle your way through different stages. There's double boss stages and others as well. So it gets pretty elaborate, and you really want to have a proper amount of champions available to deal with this. Now, there's obviously always the question of like pay to win, free to play. And I can tell you, you can play everything free to play. You don't need to invest tons of money into this. Now, for me, if there's a nice battle pass, for example, that's worth it for me. But generally speaking, I can't think with every single game. If you're in a different game, you might go for skins, for example. Here, battle pass might be interesting. But generally speaking, the account that I use for the tutorial videos is completely free to play. There, I bought not a single pack in there, and you can access all of it. You have then your PvP elements, which is Classic Arena, Live Arena, and Team Arena. And of course, if you're going up against somebody that invested like hundreds, thousands, or whatever in here, then you're having a pretty tough time. But even here, as you can see from Classic Arena, this is a free-to-play account right there. And I'm essentially on the tiers currently in one of the highest tiers here. So I'm currently jumping between Gold 3 and Gold 4. So with a bit of knowledge, a bit of experience, and just knowing what you do, you can go quite high. But these are the only PvP elements of the game. There's also clan versus clan battles. You can participate in them, you don't have to. But all of this just to say that don't be afraid. You can play all of this free to play if that's something that you want to do. And you don't have to go into an insane battle against whales here all the time. There are certain aspects and materials that you can farm in these PvP areas that help you with general content, but you can make your way through that slowly. And if you, for example, watch the videos that I have on the other channel, it will help you a lot to understand, hey, how do I actually play this? Because it's quite surprising how many people, some that even play this game for a year or longer, just do not understand what they need to prioritize in Arena or anywhere else to get the best gains out of it and to progress a little bit faster. So for that, you have that other video series, as I said, so it's all linked in the description. Try the game out if you're a bit interested. It's a time killer game. It's fantastic because you can play it on your phone and on the PC. So if you're traveling a lot, this might be something that's interesting for you to check out. If you do it now, use that code in the description. It's going to give you some free champions. And right now, again, because of that, the whole campaign with the Ninja Turtles, with the Hero Turtles, you also get Michelangelo, and he's insane. He's absolutely fantastic. So if you ever thought about trying it out, do it now and see if you like it or not. You can also drop a comment in the comment section if you have any questions. And again, check out the video series on the other channel to get more out of this. That's pretty much it for the day. So guys, thank you very much for watching once again, and I'll hope to see you in the next one. So have a good one. Bye bye.